Hey everyone, namaste. Good to see you all. Welcome. Good to see you all. Yeah, cool. I am so like a little bit hot. I just came in from mowing the grass. I love to mow the grass actually. It's not a hard thing, but it does make you kind of hot when you push the mower part to do the tight cuts around the trees and stuff. But yeah, welcome to our book study, everyone. It's good to see you. And I'm getting super excited about several things that are on the horizon. One is, of course, it seems like it's a long way off, but the conference in November, Awake in Stillness, is we've already we have agreements with about 22 teachers. Most of the presenters for Awakening Mind Films that is in part one or part two or both are in the conference. So I'm really excited about that. And so we plan 3 or 4, 5 months ahead for the conferences to make sure we get the teachers, the speakers, their time slot because they're so busy, all of them. And we have 22 that have said yes, waiting on a few more. I'm expecting to have about 25. It's going to be amazing. Dan Schmidt is going to have a 5 hour piece of the conference where he's going to really go deep into the teaching of the I Am Awakening experience. So that's pretty cool. And then we're launching the second film on Monday, the 24th at 10 a.m. We're going to send the link out to all the cast and all the mailing lists. We'll get it at the same time. So we can all watch the Mind Unveiled at the same time if we want, or you can watch it later, but everyone will get it at about 5 minutes to 10 a.m. on Monday morning so that we watch it all at the same time. And that has an impact on the Google, whatever the mechanism that says, brings attention to something that sparks. So we'll be having everyone sharing it with their communities and watching it at the same time, getting a real nice liftoff for the Mind Unveiled. Those are two commercials, but it's where my head is right now. I'm just having fun connecting with all of these teachers and some other new things that's happening. There's this cool guy, Joshua Newton, that's started a Course in Miracles community with Advaita Vedanta in India, and he's doing some really cool things. I'm wanting to get him to the conference. He interviewed Regina Dawn Akers a few weeks ago, so he'll have that in his magazine, and he's been in communication with Lisa to have her in it, and also our Awakening Mind Films and the conference. So that's it. That's all the commercials. We'll get started on the Gospel of Thomas. We have some really great sayings to talk about this week. Some of them are pretty cryptic, as you know, that you really have to sort of sit with some of them to for the metaphysical uh, or the non-dual meaning and teaching that's being conveyed in what he's saying. But I think we're on 50. Are we on 55? Did we end with 55? Or was it later? Was it 57? Oh, maybe it was. Maybe it was 57 or 58. Let me see. Okay, 58. Who would like to read saying 58? And we'll start right there. I think that's where we left off was maybe the last one we did was 57. And if I'm off on that, just let me know and we'll skip to the right one. I didn't look it up. Hi, Lynn. Come on in. Welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, it says 53 is due today. Is that what we?
Okay.
Okay,
I thought it was
53.
55, but okay, so 53?
That's what somebody just said, 53. So we'll just start there, and if we already did it, we'll do it twice.
Okay. His disciples said to him, "Is circumcision beneficial or not?" He said to them, "If it were beneficial, their father would beget them already circumcised from their mother. Rather, the true circumcision in spirit has become completely profitable." In the Jewish tradition, circumcision is used to physically mark the covenant between man and God. It is, however, a spiritual covenant, not a physical one, that is beneficial, in which we make a spiritual commitment to live as truth.
Yeah, I don't think we read that one because I probably would have said something that I'm like what I'm getting ready to say. What about women? What about the girls? What happens to them? You know,
And,
in the physical.
yeah, and it would appear that so many of our boys are not being circumcised anymore. Up until I know my son was, but my grandchildren are not, and nor are my neighbors' children. And it's just so from a physical point of view, I don't know that it's, well, yeah, you have to pay for it now. You never used to have to pay for it to be circumcised for our boys. Now you do. So that could be something. But as far as this, it's German to me. So
Yeah. Well, I think it was always intended to be the metaphysical. I think
yes.
the thing is that if the listening device wasn't open yet, excuse me, I I just finished mowing, so I'm sweating a little bit. So,
It's
but
very hot here too. It's
it
very
is
hot.
okay. Well, we're in Maine, and it's hotter than it usually is. And if you're outside mowing the yard, you're super hot.
I'm on the northern shore of Lake Ontario, and we are feeling the heat as well.
Oh, you are? Okay, so
Yeah,
you're up north of us about, I don't know,
that's right.
maybe
Yeah,
six
I'm just
hours.
about I got to do this miles, 40 miles east of Toronto.
Oh, okay. Yep, yep. You're so yeah, it's warm up here too. We're in Maine.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the what makes sense to me in this is that, and I always like to point out that the scriptures, the Old Testament, the scriptures were all male biased for some reason. I don't know why, but I like to bring the universal, they left the girls out when they put it all in gender form and male pronouns. So I just like to point that out, but it's especially important to point out that it must have been, it was always intended in my mind to convey the metaphysical, and it just came in through the only filter that was available, which was the ego mindset that made it a literal communication. That's just
Mhm.
my feeling about it. And I didn't know about the circumcision today because I haven't had, my kids are all pretty grown, and my son, he was circumcised, but probably if I was a parent today, I don't think I would do it either. I mean,
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
I don't know what it's for. I'd have to have some reason for cutting on something that's brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lynn, for
You're welcome.
reading it. And it looks like Barbara, you have a hand up. Come on in.
Hi, Bill. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good that you're doing man's work. No, just joking.
You're funny. You're
No
funny.
bias there. Anyways, so,
Well, that is
so,
what happens around here. I do all the physical stuff, and that's the way we.
it's
That's
the way
way
it's
we
done.
happen. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So I was going to say, I didn't really take this as like physical. I really took this that all he's saying is that you are complete, whole in your totality. So you need not touch anything. Because he says the father would beget them already circumcised from their mother. So they're saying you're complete, whole in that wholeness and totality. And that's how I read it. It's just that that's how we come, and
Yeah.
we don't have to touch anything if we don't want to. Should we be led to? That's okay too. But, you know, you don't have to.
Well, and if you look deeper into it, and he says, rather, the true circumcision in the spirit has become completely profitable. He's really talking about, in my mind, not stripping away the skin, but stripping away the person so that only the spirit is revealed. So if there's a spiritual circumcision, it's the stripping away of the temporary identity, stripping away what's not the true self, so that the true self is revealed. That's what it seems to imply as the true circumcision. That's what just came as you were speaking about that. So if someone else has, looks like Tim, Angeline.
Hi.
hear you.
Who's on? Me?
Can't hear you, Bill.
Bill?
Can't hear me? My mic's off? Huh. Hello? You can't hear me? I think my mic is good, huh?
Very faint.
Okay, let me see if I can do this one. Okay, can you hear me now?
Better?
Okay. I think my mic, this one probably just testing. Yeah, I think it went dead. We'll just go with another one. Is this one okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So what did you get from that, Tim?
I think we touched on this previously.
Oh, we did?
I seem to remember someone said in, I think the first one, about the disciples coming from a Jewish tradition. And
Okay.
they keep asking him about the Jewish tradition, and he keeps coming back to them and with an answer which is much more, straightforward, and without the tradition.
Right.
So he it seems to me to be very straightforward, this, but I understand what you've just said, which is that there is a metaphysical aspect to it as well. But it's like Bill said at one time, he meets them halfway.
Oh,
He
you
meets
mean Bill Thetford?
disciples halfway. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he's saying, he's not going into it in any detail. He's just saying, why do that? Why do it?
Right.
Just because it's traditional, why do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what Cameron McColl said.
Right.
But what Jesus is said to have said in the Gospel of Thomas is the true circumcision in spirit has become completely profitable. So he was always talking about the metaphysical that Jesus was. And just as he upset all of the, the Pharisees and the religious leaders of that day, he was bringing a radical teaching to the understanding that they didn't have buy-in to. That's why they were so upset all the time and always trying to get him. Because he was bringing he was bringing a radical different idea of the Old Testament teachings and the Torah, that they're going, who are you? Who do you think you are, young man? I can just hear those guys saying, who are you? What kind of credentials do you have? You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Tim, for that input. And Angelina, do you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I totally agree with your last what you just said. So just to complete it, like in Judaism, there is a slogan: we shall do and we shall listen. So the doing comes first, and it's a religion that's at least in its originality. I mean, now there's all kind of modern interpretation, but in its originality, it was a lot about doing, a lot about rituals and all kind of commandments, how you should and you shouldn't do, in your life. And I think Jesus, when he came, he wanted to bring the being, the importance of the being and not the doing. That from the being comes the right action, comes the right doing, and not the opposite. Because often in Judaism, it was thought that from the right doing comes the right being. Your doing modifies your being. And how I see it, that Jesus said, no, it's quite the opposite. It is the most important, most essential thing is your being, is who you are. And then from that, your doing comes. And and the same is the whatever. There was a certain ritual that was symbolizing the connection, but it's like, it's not the ritual that has the meaning, but the meaning that has the meaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Jesus was always pointing, don't look on the outside, don't look on the doing, look within, look inside, look at the deeper meaning. And that's what the essential part here.
Yeah. And that's what was that's where the magic is anyway. And even if you look at the Advaita teachings, or the Upanishads, or the Bhagavad Gita, or the gurus in the East, they're even Ramana Maharshi talks about mantras. And in my mind, the mantra is the beginning, so that you take your so that you suspend or temporarily at least cancel the mind, so that the within can reveal itself. But the mantras are necessary, just like prayer is helpful or meditation is helpful. Getting quiet is helpful to quiet the mind, so the thing that's always looking out for answers or for inner peace goes within and finds it there. Yeah, that's what it seems like. But you're right. In the beginning, it is inviting you to have a ritual experience even today. I just came back from India, and from the Ramana Maharshi ashram, 3 times a day they have chanting and giving some kind of devotion devotional chanting for the guru. And really it's pointing to the inner guru, the inner self. It's not really even talking about Ramana Maharshi or Jesus or Buddha. It's always the you, the I am within. Yeah. So thank you. Would you like to read the next saying?
Okay.
I think it's 54, but I'm not
Yeah,
really sure.
yeah,
It sounds
54.
okay.
Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven." Every human needs basic necessities to live. Beyond this, however, the world of material objects has the ability to hypnotize us. It's an addiction of accumulation, a constant cycle of sense of lack, followed by desire and then short-lived fulfillment. Much of the world lives constantly in this trance, in which our happiness and attention are placed always in the future out of reach. Blessed are the poor, Jesus says, for they have the opportunity to live in the present and know happiness in the simplicity of daily life. Well, yeah, I kind of agree with, with this, the interpretation here. But I don't know if I have anything to add to it. It seems pretty good what he said.
Yeah,
Uh,
but he wasn't talking about physical poor in my mind. He was talking about those who are less attached to the egoic self, the egoic identity. So blessed are the
yeah,
poor for those who are not attached to the physical.
yeah, that's how I see it. Who are not, don't have so much investment in the world. Because if they
Yeah,
don't have so much investment in the world, they invest more in the kingdom of heaven and
yeah,
yeah, in the spirit, really. Yeah.
yes, yeah. And if you go to, I'll go back to India again. When you go to India, where there's many people, beings that are poor, you also find many people that are very rich in their devotion to whatever God they're worshiping. In the Hindu tradition, there's so many different symbols for God. They're not idols. They're symbols for Brahman, for Atman, for Shiva, for all of those beautiful um, symbols for our true nature. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add something like that, the real attachment is not about how much you have, because it's about the attachment. Like someone can be rich but not attached to it, and someone can be poor and keep on thinking about things that he wants to have. So I mean, it can be kind of sad or funny that someone gives up all his possession, but he didn't really give the attachment to it. And then it's kind of counteractive. So yeah, it's about the attachment, not about the
Yeah,
things.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Angelina. And we'll move to 55. If someone would like to read that for us, please just put your hand up. Thank you, Lynn.
Well, I struggled with when he says not. Anyway, Jesus said,
Okay.
yeah, whoever does not hate his father and his mother cannot become a disciple to me. And whoever does not hate his brothers and sisters and take up his cross in my way will not be worthy of me. So I do not hate my mother or my father or my brother or my sister. So going in with that,
yeah,
to identify those around us as father, mother, brother, or sister is to make this world real, to give primacy to this reality and to identify ourselves with it. So I get that. We have to look beyond these worldly appearances to the deeper truth, for only when we know who we truly are can we know the true nature of others, including those closest to us. So if I hated my father and my mother, am I taking this too literally?
Well, I think, this is, I don't know if the language, when it became Greek, from Aramaic to Greek to English, translated correctly the word hate, but that's a pretty radical idea and statement. So in part, I think it is literal, but I don't think I don't know if it's the word hate. What it's really saying is, if you love this, your body, yourself, another person, your mother, your father, your child, more than you want to know your true nature, you can't know your true nature. If you're identifying more with the physical, with the form, with the body-mind experience, you'll not know yourself as your true, as spirit.
Okay, that
And
makes
so it's
that makes sense. Yeah.
it's making a radical statement that most people would say, wait a minute, I'm going to hate my kid and follow you instead. I don't think so. So he has a much deeper context here. And I think the word hate might be off. That's just my feeling.
I agree. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I understand the identification when you identify with people around us, like he says, your father, mother, brother, or sister, is to make this world real. And it's not. So, but I did struggle with not hate. So if I loved my father and my mother, if I loved them, you're right, it's the word hate. It's the word hate that he uses that messes it up a little bit for me anyway.
Yeah. That might be that may be off. I don't know, but the idea in context makes sense if you understand the deeper meaning and understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm really interested to see what Barbara has to say about this. Barbara.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the way I took this completely is, and it means too, if you read it, whoever loves his father, his mother, is the same as hate. Because when you're in your true nature and you have no identification to the body and identify yourself as the body mind, then you're love. Not the love of a father and a mother, just love. So you would see that love in those people as your projection and your perception see it. But that relationship, human relationship, would not be a valid thing that would be going on. Because you're love. Right. So that's all that's going on. I mean, for me, I've actually experienced this in my own family, that I don't see that as my family at all. I just see the love and true nature of myself in that. And it all reflects back as just that. That's it.
Right. Well, for me, it goes back to the use of the word hate. It's just a weird. I have trouble making, even though I do know there is no hate. There is only love.
That's right.
So using the word hate in reference to someone you love, just
well, it's just you're relating to a body. That's all.
Right.
You're relating to
Yeah.
the world terms, hate and love in the world as that kind of love and that kind of hate. That's the world stuff.
Right.
But
they're
your true
opposite. They're-
nature does not experience. I don't feel it experiences that after a while. It kind of dissolves, and you just look at, it's like looking at a dog or a cat or any part of life itself. It expands, it opens up. So that's why he's saying if you get into this identity, you contract.
Where'd you go? Barbara, come back. Ah, it looks like Barbara left. Where'd you go, Barbara? Sandra, come on down. Sandra? There you are. Barbara will be back.
Hello.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi. What this said to me, and I agree about the word hate. So in my own mind, I translated it to whoever cannot disidentify with these special roles, like the special role of mom, the special role of daughter, the special role, and just to love everyone equally. That's how I took it. That because I've been so invested in the role of mother, for example, that I totally identified as mother. And when I woke up, I realized these aren't my children. It was really an interesting experience. And so that's how I took it, that we become if we cannot detach from these roles and these special relationships, to me, that would be a major block.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing as being attached to this.
Yes.
If you have more love for your child or your parents or your husband or yourself than you have for your true nature or the desire to know the self, you won't be able to know the self.
And I think the reason he identifies the very nuclear family here is because those tend to take prominence in this world. And, he didn't just say you have to hate everybody. He really focused on this nuclear family. And to me,
Yeah.
that means because we tend to think of them as special. We love them more than we love anybody, And I think at least that's what this said to me.
Yeah. Yeah. He went to the raw, most
Right.
sensitive, subtle, intimate relationship and said,
No, I mean,
you can't
yeah,
have that.
Later, another part I remember from my Christian Bible study where somebody wanted to go to a funeral first, and he said, forget the funeral, follow me. You don't need to go to your father's funeral, same kind of thing.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah, we're going to see that in just a minute in another saying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. 56. Who would like to read 56? This one's very interesting. I'll read it, but I'm going to need your help. Jesus said, whoever has come to understand the world has found only a corpse. And whoever has found a corpse is superior to the world. And Cameron said in his interpretation, to understand the world is to recognize that it is made entirely of perceptions, nothing more. From these perceptions, we create a concept of world. The world has no independent reality, no life of its own without consciousness, which gives rise to the perceptions. There could be no world. Those who have discovered this understand that the world's true reality is consciousness itself, or God. And yeah, it says in that first saying, that the part that was in the original Thomas, whoever has come to understand the world has found only a corpse, and whoever has found a corpse is superior to the world. Who has seen their true nature, doesn't make you superior, but it makes your experience superior, in my mind. Those that come to know and understand their true nature, to know I am is consciousness itself, and you are that, you become, that understanding brings you to a superior experience in time and space. You're no longer caught by the pull of the objective experience or the emotional inner experience, because you're established in your true nature. You live in a space of inner peace and presence, and a life that's just more quiet and more peaceful. Angelina, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was hoping someone else also wanted to. Okay. Yeah, like I understand it, like in connection to when Jesus, I think he said, I came to give you life, eternal life. I think there was a phrase like that, and people understood it as if he meant life after life, like heaven, and like the existence of heaven, of life after we die. And then and he really meant that who we are really is an eternal spirit. And this one I see kind of as saying the same similar thing, that whoever just is about understanding the physical world have found only, believe only that he's like this body, this temporary body, and doesn't really see that it's like he believes that it is born and it dies, and that there's nothing beyond that. And whoever has seen the body as just a temporary thing, and that there is an eternal nature beyond that, who have seen the body as just a corpse, basically coming and going, temporary thing, is superior to the world, has seen his eternal nature that is, beyond this world. It's kind of like something.
Yeah. See, I love what Cameron did, but I also love hearing these expanded ideas and direct experiences that we are having right here, folks right here in this group, and many other groups that we share online. We're having even an expanded in our own understanding and clarity. We have a deeper, expanded experience and view of what's being suggested here by the teachings that were, before they got retranslated in the New Testament. This is like the original stuff, things that he probably really said. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're looking at 57. Who would like to read 57, please? Barbara, welcome back.
If I cut out, hopefully you'll catch the rest of it. Anyway,
Okay.
57. Thanks. So Jesus said, the kingdom of the Father is like a man who had a good seed. His enemy came by night and sowed weeds among the good seed. The man did not allow them to pull up the weeds. He said to them, I am afraid that you will go intending to pull up the weeds and pull up the wheat along with them. For on the day of the harvest, the weeds will be plainly visible and they will be pulled up and burned. Cameron says the kingdom of the Father referred to here represents man's ultimate potential, his journey home. It is not intended to describe all of creation, for nothing exists outside of God. The enemy is ego, man's adventure in forgetfulness. It is given the time and opportunity to take seed, grow, and flourish. The freedom remains, however, to see the truth and return home to the pristine state, for ultimately the one who sows is the one who harvests. See, I have a saying that I have had for years. And a lot of this took place even through the Bible. You know, people to interpretation, through interpretation. That I've always believed if you take truth and you organize it, it becomes a lie. That's the way I really just have always looked at things, because our interpretations rather than our direct experience, and that can only happen as it happens because we're not individuals. That's in the non-dual, of course, in the direct path. Now, as a Christian, it's a different system and belief system.
Right.
And I do agree with the sense that there's nothing outside of God, of love, of peace, beauty. And so this is all about your journey. I don't even know if it's a journey, you know. It's like, I don't feel like I've been journeying. I did it one time only because I was told that. Psychologically, I took that and go, oh, yeah, I'm on a path journey. And then I realized I'm not anywhere because I don't go anywhere. So what am I? I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm just here. That's all I know.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, the journey, you know, our language evolves. I think as we go deeper and deeper in the understanding, we need less and less descriptors for what's happening.
I would agree. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is in Cameron's statement in the second paragraph. He said, it is given, the enemy is ego, man's adventure in forgetfulness. It is given the time and opportunity to take seed, grow, and flourish. And in my mind, the taking of the seed to grow and to flourish is really the same thing as it is the knowing the self brings freedom to the thing that thought it was separate. It brings freedom to the egoic conditioning and identity. And what Cameron is saying in that second paragraph, the freedom remains, however, to see truth and return home to the pristine state. So you get to have both. You get to have the human, the body-mind experience, but you get to know that this isn't your home. And because you're no longer attached to the objective experience, your experience really softens. Your experience becomes completely different, as we said in the last saying, a superior experience in time and space. And let's see. we're looking at 58. Who would like to read 58, please? Oh, Sandra you have your hand up. Go ahead, Sandra.
When I read this, it reminded me of something actually that I learned from you a while ago. When I first woke up, I was really confused. And I love this phrase that you use, it takes time to become established in the understanding. You know, you say that a lot, and that really helped me. So when I read this, it came back to me that this was saying to me, don't try to figure it all out. On the day of the harvest, the weeds will become plainly visible. So there will become a time when I'll just know, because I've become established. So I really was able to just let go of a lot of trying to figure it all out. And that's how simply I take this, but it's not, I don't have to worry about it. The truth will eventually become plainly evident.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because what happens is we become, as I said, and I learned it from Rupert, we become established in our understanding. So the things that by their fruits you will know them, and
Yes.
they will know themselves.
Yes.
Becomes your direct experience. So you live in trust
and freedom.
Not yet. Trust and freedom. You're not living in faith.
Right.
You're living in knowing.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is it's the deepest, it's not even a trust. It's a trust in knowing your essential nature, which has revealed itself to you as you, and you never get released from that understanding and that knowing.
And so he's saying here, like, you don't have to worry about pulling up the weeds. You don't have to worry about figuring it all out. Just wait. The day of the harvest, it will all become plainly visible. And that's really been my experience.
Yeah. Mine too.
Thank you.
It's a miracle. This is why the understanding of awakening and the direct experience, it is a miracle. It's the miracle that the Course in Miracles is pointing to.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Sandra. Hey, Jan, come on in.
Hi there, Bill.
Hey.
I've been really interested in hearing what Sandra had to say. I agree so completely. Sometimes we just make it too difficult for ourselves, and you can miss out on a lot of the joy in your life if you're struggling all the time. I don't understand. What do and just relax and let it come. So I totally agree with Sandra. Yeah. But I really raised my hand so I could do 58 if you're ready to do that one.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay. Jesus said, "Blessed is the man who has suffered and found life." And Cameron says, "Grace does not hesitate to use any and all circumstances of life to hold up a mirror to us, to provide the opportunity for us to see things as they really are, to show us the way home. Often it is the most challenging circumstances of life which offer the greatest opportunities to travel home." And, I struggled for such a long time as to why there were bad things in the world and why bad things happen to good people and all that kind of thing. And when you're going through a really, really hard time, like Bill, when you shared when you were having a hard time in your marriage for a while and how it brought you closer together in the end. And I think God doesn't cause anything to happen, but God can use anything that happens in your life for a learning situation. So sometimes you have just the silly little things that happen. And there are the other times when you have the terrible, terrible things that you feel they're just, you don't know if you can bear up under them. That's when you learn the most. The good times are when we can just sort of coast along and be happy and just not worry about anything. But we wouldn't learn a whole lot from that if we didn't have the tough times, the opposite things going. So that's what I get from that, because I think we can all identify with suffering in our lives. We've all had suffering in some way or another, and it sort of goes in cycles sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is good that it goes in cycles, because if it all hit at once, that could be really bad.
Yeah, you might have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or anything. The truth is that all of our seeming suffering, all of the projections that we have, anything that's causing us a discomfort or out of alignment with our inner peace, is something that is hidden in our own unconscious beliefs that we're either projecting out there on somebody else, or it's just an experience that this circumstance is giving me that wants to be welcomed, because it's not so that I can have more of it, but so that it can dissolve into the nothingness from which it arises. Because it's taken anything that's not inner peace, happiness, joy, and the love that we truly are is an imposter energy that has given its identity, that we have given a place to live in our own unconscious beliefs and traumas. And if it's coming up in our experience, it's just something that wants to be welcomed and loved, so it can dissolve back into the nothingness that it came from.
Right. Yeah. And that's what gives us hope. You know, when you're going through one of these tough times, that's what gives you hope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. There's if anyone, several of you, I recognize that several of you were in Jenny's last class, not her Sunday class, but when she did What is Truth last week. Oh my God, that class was so amazing. If you haven't watched it, it's totally free on YouTube. Go and watch Jenny Beal's 1 hour talk on what is truth, and the questions that were presented for her, they really get to the bottom line of any kind of energy that's happening in your life experience, why it's happening, and how you can use it for your good. So just giving a plug for that, because I loved it so much. I shared it with Lisa, and Lisa watched it almost immediately and thought, I mean, she was taking notes like crazy. It was a really good talk by Jenny Beal. Thank you, Jan. And Lynn, you have your hand up.
So I'm speaking about grace. Grace does not hesitate to use any and all circumstances of life to hold a mirror up to us, to provide the opportunity for us to see things as they really are, to show us the way home. So is grace the holding up the mirror, or me seeing it? This is where I get, is it two things? Is it the grace and then me seeing it, or?
Well, you are grace. Your true nature is grace.
Yes.
So grace is just an attribute of our true nature. Grace is the essence of I am, or the essence of God that we are, that brings us to that. It's always trying to bring us to recognize our true nature. So it's
right.
like the.
So I just
so
want
when
to.
it says, so say it again.
So why my husband and I were hit over the head with frying pans our whole lives. I'm waking up and it would appear he's not. How come?
Well, in my mind, that question is a question for the mind, and the mind. So that doesn't really have an answer,
Okay.
except that it's a valid question, where Lynn is saying, why isn't my husband waking up? So that question just comes into the heart and welcomes the question and welcomes the energy of a belief that he's not waking up, but you are. So whatever is coming into that space, you just welcome everything exactly as it is, knowing that everything is perfect.
And when I say my husband, I mean everybody, we're all suffering.
The whole
and how
world,
come I'm waking? How come I get to wake up and not everybody's waking up? We're all suffering. The mirror has been held up to all of us continually. And I question, how come I see it?
There's only one of us, and you are waking up. There's only one of us, and you are waking up. And the illusion of separation is becoming less and less for that one that's waking up. And the Course in Miracles, there's a gradual understanding that there's only one of us. There's a gradual understanding that there's only one I am. And all of these 8 billion seeming separate identities are characters in the dream of separation of the one self. And if you are waking up, everyone is waking up.
Oh.
Yeah. There's only one self. This is why the Course in Miracles says the sole responsibility of a miracle worker, and that's one who is waking up, the sole responsibility of a miracle worker is to accept the atonement for yourself. So
wow.
It's the mind that wants to continue to separate, fragment, and say that, I mean, when Jesus said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, he was going directly to I am and saying, forgive them, I am, forgive them, awareness, for the appearances know not what they do. And it's just the appearance of separation that appears real to the ego mind. But the one who knows the self knows that none of it's true or real.
Bill, thank you so much for bringing up that what Jesus said, because I often question, why did Jesus have to tell God to forgive? But when you're saying he was speaking to the I, that put a little bit of clarification there. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we all have the same access point to the understanding that he had and shared. We have it right now in every moment. He was modeling for us what we all have access to, and we misappropriated who the Father is as if it was separate from him, or who, that's why he said the Father. He didn't even use the word Yahweh or Jehovah or of course he didn't use God because he was speaking in Aramaic. But yeah, he modeled it for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who looks like Tim? Oh no, Lynn. No, that was it's Tim. No, is it Lynn? It's Tim. Okay, thanks. Tim.
Hi.
Hey.
It seems to me that when things get really hard to deal with, the mind, using the words, I'm trying to use my words carefully here, the mind finds it so difficult to process it that actually the veils get thinner. Does that make sense? You kind of shrug your shoulders eventually and you say, I can't deal with that. And at that point, one feels closer to truth. When
I
things
would
get
say,
that bad, when they get so bad, I mean, just the way it seems to me, anyway.
well, if you're coupling that with I give up, then you're relaxing the mind's attachment
Yeah.
to the meaning that it has.
Yes.
You're relaxing the attachment to your identity being being built on being right or being happy, or even the memory of the trauma that's bringing the suffering. So you're relaxing the attachment on the meaning that it has for you, so that
Yeah.
you're open to seeing it differently, and then presence, love, your I am awareness energy can come into that space and dissolve the energy of the seeming separate connection, and it brings you to that it's a thinning of the veil experience, and that's why surrender happens. It had the miraculous things happen when people reach their bottom and they surrender.
Yes. Exactly. I think you described it what I mean perfectly. It is giving up, but it's not. It's there's a very great depth to the giving up. You can't just shrug your shoulders and say I give up. Nothing happens.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But when you get right down there, it just seems that, as you say, there is a gap which something fills, and then something is created. There's a creation happens at that point, and solutions to problems just miraculously appear. I use the word very carefully.
Yeah.
Miraculously appear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
there's a there's a line in the course that says, "Let me recognize this problem so it can be solved." And it's recognizing the problem within the gap, so that you're not you back away from the problem just enough to recognize that the problem that you have made the problem real. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. So you're allowing the gap to be filled by the recognition that you're not the problem. You're the awareness of the problem. And from that place,
Yes.
from that place, you're no longer attached to the thing that you were making real.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to go
Thank you.
now. I've got something on, but thank you
All
ever so
right.
much.
Thanks for coming, Tim. Enjoyed your comments. We'll be back next week. Okay. Let's see. Who wants to read 59? You recognize that sound? It's Jeopardy. Sylvia,
Bill?
are you going to read?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm just
Okay.
saying, our time is up, isn't it?
Oh, is our time up?
Yep.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Oh my goodness. I thought we had 15 minutes left. I was looking at the wrong timer here. Thank you, Sylvia. Okay, well, we're having so much fun. I was ready to keep on going. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you. I'll be back at 3:00. And if you're interested in A Course in Miracles, I had this inspiration this morning to share what A Course in Miracles says about awake in stillness. There's a lot of stuff in the Course in Miracles that talks about being awake in stillness. And I'm going to talk about that at 3 o'clock if you want to join us. And I'll see you at 3 o'clock, or I'll see